So you've decided to get into Cities Skylines, but you're not quite sure what it's about or how to play longer than 10 minutes without running out of money and abandoning houses everywhere. You search YouTube and all you can find are advanced tips or most efficient starting design, but those are above your level. You've come to the right spot, my friend. I will show you the actual basics of the game. I will explain like you are 5. This is part 2A.
Ready.
Hello world, my name's Toadie and this is my ultra mega basic super tutorial for Cities Skylines. Part 2A. In part 1, we made it to Little Hamlet. If you haven't watched that, go and watch it because it is the absolute basics of how to put down roads, what electricity is, what water is. If you're brand new to the game and need someone to hold your hand through it, go watch part 1. I am calling this part 2A because we're going to continue on all the way through to Big Town. Big Town is where you unlock high density and office zones, and this is generally seen as a game changer. Don't worry, it sounds like a lot. I'm gonna make it so simple for you. It'll be no problem, but we're doing it without any of the DLCs installed. If you want to see the DLC variations, stay tuned for part 2B that will explain how the Industries DLC can change it, how the Park Life and the Campus DLCs can change it. That will come. But to keep things simple, let's focus on the standard vanilla game, no DLCs, no mods. And we're here at Little Hamlet. Every time you reach one of these milestones, a couple things can happen. You usually get a good sum of money, so we'll see that when we close the screen. And you also unlock stuff. We have 2 new features, the taxes and the loans features, which we will take a look at. And we have new services. In these early milestones where services are unlocked like garbage, healthcare, education, fire, and police, our citizens now begin to require these services, and if they don't have them, they will either get sick or upset, they will abandon their housing and move out, which of course we don't want. So we now need to worry about garbage, healthcare, and education for our citizens. Let's work on some of those. I'm going to close this window and I'm going to pause the game. Now we can see down here that our garbage and healthcare and education tabs are available. Let's start with garbage. Click on the garbage and you'll see that you have access to put down a landfill site and later on an incineration plant. Both of these produce pollution, so we're going to do the same thing that we did with our electricity, and we're going to keep it over here in our industrial area. The landfill fits very nicely in here, but if I were to place it on this road, do you see how these buildings become orange and the bulldoze symbol shows up? That means that when I place this landfill by left clicking, those buildings are automatically deleted to make room for the landfill. Buildings that have been built through the zoning system can do that. Now we still have $34,000 in the bank, so let's take a look. Healthcare. This will cost us $10,000 and our first school will cost us $10,000. We might as well put both of them down. Now we're going to place our healthcare, and I will take this opportunity to show you how I personally manage how many of each type of service I put down in a certain area. If we take this medical clinic and we start to hover it near a road, let's zoom out. I'm going to hover it over here. And do you see how on the right hand side the road is super bright green, and as you get further away from the clinic the road gets more gray? The green area is the area that's covered by the clinic's services. Once it hits gray, that area is no longer technically covered by the service. As I'm expanding my cities, I generally aim for all services, maybe except education, which we'll touch on, to keep as much of the roads green as possible, and sometimes really all of the road green. So for this healthcare, I'm actually going to place it right here, right by the entrance, and it covers the whole area. Education. Do you notice how when I click onto this tab, all of these houses are red? That means that none of these people have access to education. You typically will want to put your schools in your residential zones. And the same thing happens with the other services where the road goes green. I do try to keep much of the road green. However, it's more important to keep your eye on the capacity of the school. After we place the school down, we can take a look at that. If you click on the elementary school, you can see right now, because we're paused, there's no students that are currently attending the school, but it can handle 300. So why don't we let the game run now that we've placed down our new services, and we can monitor this number. We have a new problem icon popping up. Let's go take a look at it. These people need garbage services. So notice how that icon never showed up until we unlocked the milestone that allowed for us to put down a garbage landfill site. But now that we have one, the citizens need it. But you can see coming over here, these are garbage trucks. You can see the icon there. And I'm sure one of them is on their way to that house. Let's watch. Look at this guy. He's going to go pick up that garbage. So what we've done with this milestone is we have looked at everything that it provides us, and therefore everything that our citizens need, and made sure that our citizens had those services covered. From there, it's just a matter of keeping your money in the plus and following the needs of your city down here until you have a population high enough to reach the next milestone. And honestly, from there, it's rinse and repeat. We'll take it slow again though, and we'll go over things at Worthy Village. For now, let's look at these new features that Little Hamlet unlocked. We got taxes and we got loans. They are found here in the economy button. And this is our budget. We've already been through there, and you'll notice we can now affect the budgets for the next services. I typically don't bother with these as I keep a pretty tight ship, so my weekly income is usually in the green by this point. Coming over to the loans tab, if you're in a tough spot and you just need a couple grand to build your next service building, you can take a loan with this button and you'll pay back a certain amount each week, but you get the lump sum up front. The way that I play Cities Skylines, I play it so slow and so tight that I don't typically need a loan, but they're there if you need them. Just to make sure once you take the loan and place the service, you get yourself into a position where your income is in the green so that you can pay it back. Over to the taxes, this is where you start charging people money to live in your city. If you charge them too much money, however, they'll start to move out and abandon the buildings. The typical threshold is somewhere between 12 and 13%. Citizens will start to complain. Let's set everything at 12 and take a look at the difference in the weekly income that we're about to make. So right now we're making about $600 or so a week. If we let the game run for a little bit, you see how it's going up, and the only thing that we've changed is our taxes. When I play Cities Skylines, I tend to drop my residential down to 11%, and I keep my commercials and my industries at 12. The lower the percentage of the tax, the more demand for that type of zone you will have in your city. I always want more people to be moving into my city, so I keep my residential down just by 1. Speaking of more people to move into the city, we should start expanding our residential zone. People have moved in, but they're slowing down. They're not moving in much anymore, even though I've zoned this area for residential. Why is that? We have no residential need. In order for us to have need for new people coming in, they need jobs. They need some industry. So now, following the demand meter, we just need to build more industry away from the residents so that the pollution doesn't carry over. You can see the pollution seeping here. So let's build it up. You'll notice that as I put down the roads, I also just immediately put down the water coverage as well. It's easy to do as you go along with the roads to make sure that you don't forget it. Watch as our industry need goes down, our residential need slowly creeps up. We still need commercial though. Here's my tip for commercial building. We know that we need to keep residential and industry separate from each other because of the pollution. That means that when these residents need to go to work, they have to travel to their jobs over here. They can do that walking, with cars, public transit, but commercial, pollution isn't a factor. So I like to take commercial and I like to sprinkle it in and around each area of the city so that citizens have to travel less far to either purchase goods or go to their jobs. And we've hit Worthy Village. We reached 1,000 population. Cast your mind back to the beginning of this video. What did we do when we hit Little Hamlet? We took a look at the new services that we received. We made sure that our citizens had these services available because now they need them. And then we followed the demand of the city, residential, commercial, industry. And that's really what we're going to do here as well, with a couple other things sprinkled in. We can get a second loan now in our new features. That's just like the first loan. We can now do policies and district specializations and services policies. Policies, I'm actually not going to touch at all. For your basic city, for your very first city, you don't need to enact any policies. We can touch on that in a later episode that will be dedicated to efficiencies. But for now, we're just going to ignore the policies completely. We will take a look at districts and with districts, industry specializations, and we can also purchase a new area. So before closing this, we will take note that we now need to build emergency services and police departments, and we have those buildings unlocked down here. Let's pause again. We'll zoom out, and great, those two icons unlocked on our GUI. Let's go fire, emergency services. So a firehouse. See how the road is turning green or not green? This is where we make a decision. We can either put one firehouse here in the center to cover everything, or we can start to break up our services and put down two of each. We have $30,000, and how much do these cost? $12,000, and the police station is probably similar, $12,000. Because of the amount of money that we have, I'm going to choose to put down one firehouse and one police station fairly central. There will be a bit of gray area, but the way that we expand our city next will help cover that. So the fire station can go here on the main road and the police station can go right nearby. So now the two new services are covered, and if the only thing that we did from here until Tiny Town was to manage our needs, that would be perfectly fine. We can continue to put down the commercial that we spoke about earlier and sprinkle it around our residences so that people don't have to travel too far. Hey guys, do you notice that we have another problem icon? If we look at our electricity availability, we're not producing enough electricity. Back in the first episode, I had us lower the electricity budget to 75 to help save some money. We're going to put that back up to 100 and watch the electricity production go up. There it goes. And now everybody has power. Let's check on our water in the meantime, and we're doing just fine for water. Here's the part of the game that I'm going to give you the best tip I think I'll give you throughout these super basic tutorials. Don't be afraid to get so far into the game like we're at now and let your city run. Let your city build up a bank account so that when we need to expand, we can. And take time to plan what you want to do next. If you just keep expanding, bam, 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 you'll lose money. You won't be able to cover your city with the services that you need to cover it with, and you might just get ahead of yourself. I'm going to build some last residential roads, and then we're going to have a talk about the future of our city. While these folks start moving in, let's talk about this messy entrance into the city. Traffic is a big part of Cities Skylines for a few reasons. It's overall satisfying to get right and to do well with, but also if you have bad traffic in your city, services can't get to your citizens can't get to their jobs, and things start to fail. This very basic tutorial will not include a lot of traffic fixing. There's better people out there for that. Having this coming off the highway is not going to be good enough for our citizens. What I want to try to do is probably delete this here, and instead I'll put a main road coming into the city down this way. I'll probably make it a 6-lane road because it has 3 lanes on either side, and this highway is 3 lanes on either side. But we don't have access to the highway roads yet. If you hover over one of these slots, you can see the population that you need in order to unlock that asset. So we need to reach 2,600 people before we can unlock this 3-lane one-way highway. And that is 2 milestones away. So we've taken our time. We've planned what our next goal is to get a 6-lane road down here and connect it up to this highway nicely. And now we just need to get there by following the city's needs and doing what the milestones tell us is available next. I'm going to build our next 4-lane road down here, and I'm going to take this opportunity to show you the curved road and the freeform road tools. They just do what they say they do. I'm not going to get into overly beautiful road layouts at this time, but here's the basics. Let's start with the freeform road tool. Click once where you want to start. Click a second time to designate the middle of your curve, and then click a third time to designate the end of your curve. And then if you were wanting to do a weebly wobbly road, it just lets you left click again, and it makes the curves for you. We're going to delete those though. From here, I'm just going to take the straight road tool and I'm just going to go straight across. And because we've saved up money, we can afford to do this without too much worry. Let me get the rest of these roads in here now. Before I get the rest of them down, I'm going to show you the curved road. It's very similar to the other. Left click once to start your road, left click a second time to designate the middle of the curve, and left click a third time to designate the end. Oh, it looks like we've been interrupted by our next milestone, the tiny town milestone, 1,500 people. And we have, once again, some new features. We have landscaping, which I can point out briefly, but it's not needed for your basic starter town. We do have new services of parks, which we will definitely take a look at. New policies, which we're not getting into. Canals, again, not needed. And all of these new buildings are new parks, as well as a high school, which will be important for continuing our citizens' education. Let me fill in the rest of these roads, and then we'll take a look at what we just unlocked. Now, it's about time that I showed you this menu. Info views, top left. There are a lot of buttons down here that will tell you important information about your citizens and their needs and their services. I'm not going to go over all of them. I encourage you to take a look at every single one. Take it slow, read what the information says, and gather the information that you want from it. The top 2, we've seen this information before. This is our electricity. We need to start making some more electricity soon. This is our water coverage. We're familiar with this by now. The next few, we might not be so familiar with. Garbage info view will show you obviously where your landfill is. The little purple dots will be garbage trucks going around your city, and the green road shows you the coverage area. It's important to note that there is landfill usage in the top, and once it gets too full, we need to build another landfill, or we need to start processing the landfill, which is another building type unlocked in a future milestone. Education, we're gonna tackle this right now. So remember when I had said that the green is sort of important with education, the green roads, but more important than that is the capacity and the eligibility. So this one elementary school has a capacity of 300 students, and we only have 263 students in the city. But as we expand our city, obviously more students will exist because children are being born and needing to go to school. Up here, you can click on high school and see that we have 263 eligible high school students, but we only just unlocked high school. So we need to put a high school down. Let's go to our education tab down here, grab the high school, and we're going to put it fairly central. Yeah, I think right there is a great spot. So now everybody's all happy, and we suddenly have a capacity for 1,000 high school students. The next 3 info views that I show you will all be similar to each other in that they have one bar here, just healthcare availability, and your main focus is the green line. So as we get more money coming in, a focus for us will be putting down another hospital down here so that we can get this gray road turned green. The same strategy is what I will use for fire safety. So again, I care about the green. I'm going to probably put my next fire station somewhere around here, and the same with crime, police. Green is coverage. I need a police station down here. The last info view I want to show you for now is the leisure info view, parks and plazas, because we just unlocked parks, remember? If your citizens don't have parks, they probably won't abandon and move out, but the other thing they won't do is level up. So let's click on a house, and do you see that there are 5 little bars here? Each time a bar is filled, that house does what's called leveling up. And you will see the houses actually change appearance as they get to be higher levels. So you can almost tell this guy looks more fancy than this guy, right? Because he's level 2 right now. The higher level a house is, the more families you will have living in them. And when you're trying to grow your city, having more people living in the same small amount of space is of course a benefit. One thing that people want to level up is services, healthcare, fire, and police. That's why I tend to stick to the green road rule, because then I know that everyone around is covered and they will be more likely to level up their houses. Another thing that your citizens like in order to level up is parks and leisure. These are the parks that are available to us. There's a lot of videos out there about the most efficient park for the space and the money. We're just going to put down parks to build a nice city, nice and easy. Do you see the green circle around the building? That is essentially its area of effect. And so when we place it down, we'll see people start to get happy, and we will start to see the red houses turn a little bit less red. It's not, oh, and that guy, you see that green arrow that just happened? Those people are leveling up. So having the one park there has made people so excited that they're ready to level up. So we're going to put down a dog park over here as well, trying to get kind of the most bang for the buck without being really min-max about it. I'm going to put it right around here so that it's targeting this corner, but it's certainly affecting people down here. And you see them starting to fade from red into blue-green, which is great. Because our funds are fairly tight, we're going to wait to put down more parks. But as I grow and as funds come in, parks are something that I focus on. Our city needs more people to live in it. Let's get some zoning happening. This is another point in the game where I'm going to remind you to take it slow, watch your citizens move in, take the time to earn your money so that you never worry about going bankrupt, and don't just expand, expand, expand. Once we get $30,000, I'm going to put another fire station and another police station down here, and then I'm going to focus on another school. But these guys need electricity. Electricity is a problem. I'm going to pause. We're going to take a look back at our info view, and we are now using the maximum electricity that this coal plant will produce. Let's look at what's available for us in the electricity tab. We still only have the coal power plant and the wind turbine. If we click on the wind turbine, you can see the land color has changed. The darker the land, the more electricity that the turbine will produce because it's a higher wind. Watch where it says estimated production, watch it go down as I move to lighter and lighter area. I could take 2 wind turbines right now and plunk them in here. And I might put down at least 1 just to get us through this spell. But this introduces to us the concept of noise pollution. Do you see the orange around the wind turbine? If we have people living within that orange, especially very close to the wind turbine, they will start to get angry about it being so loud, and they'll actually eventually get sick. I'm going to put this guy over here. See, it's going to produce 8 megawatts for us. And what I'm going to keep in mind is that on this corner of our road, I'm not going to zone any residential there. I'm only going to zone commercial. Let's do that now. And we also need to make sure that the electricity, this blue blurb around the wind turbine, it needs to carry over, right? We could take power lines and draw it from here over and up and just connect it to some part of this blue blurb. I'm going to try to connect it with the zoning of buildings. So I'm going to zone some commercial here as well. And we'll watch from this view as that commercial zones in. Hopefully the power will jump over. Let's speed it up. Watch as these buildings grow in. Yes, the blue jumps over and the power is carried over. Perfect. I'm hoping that that one turbine will carry us until we can unlock this advanced wind turbine. It doesn't look like it's going to be sufficient. I'm going to put down one other turbine. I'm going to try to get somewhere where it says 8 megawatts. Yes. And that will definitely carry over. So now I'm just going to sit here, let these guys move in and see if we can't unlock the next milestone just by letting houses move in and level up with the services that are around them. We are at 2,500 people. We have no need for residential, and a lot of our residential buildings are level 1. And what I'm doing when I click on them is I'm hovering over this icon to see what they need to upgrade. And so many of them are telling me that they just need education. Very often that will mean that you just have to wait for them to get through the education system. But why don't we check our school? We're almost at full capacity in our school, and we have a good chunk of change. This is a great opportunity to put down another school. I'm going to put that next school right over here, and our capacity should double. Excellent. Let's see if we can make it to 2,600 now. There it is. Congratulations, Boomtown. Do you remember what we did with the last milestones? We looked at what's new, public transit, a new industry specialization, which we need to look at, and these buildings, highways, a cemetery. So Deathcare is new, advanced wind turbine, and some other stuff that's less important. And because we were patient and we waited for people to upgrade, we have a good chunk of change to play with. Let's focus on what's new to us first, and then we'll do some of the rearranging that we've been wanting to. Deathcare is new to us. Deathcare is kept under the healthcare tab, and here's a cemetery. We're still looking to keep as much of the area green as possible. So for now, let's put our first cemetery over here. Everybody's happy. This milestone also unlocked the elder care and the childcare health centers. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's probably worth your time to put down one of these around your residential areas. They more or less help expand the lives of your citizens. Speaking of which, we need another medical clinic. Let's put one down here. Now we're low on money again. I think the next few dollars we spend should be focusing on getting this main road down here. So let me get that set up. Guys, I've got myself in a predicament. I don't have the money that I need to build the highway. I overestimated what I had. But you know what? This is where these loans come into play. I'm going to take the bigger loan just to get it done. I know that we're making enough money every week. I just spent too much all at once. So let me get the rest of this done. Okay, looks good. Do you remember how in these milestones, we've seen this new areas information pop up? What that means is that we can expand this dotted line area for our building. We're going to do that now. Let's go to our areas section. I'm going to choose this area because you can see that it has a whole bunch of farming resources, which is the next thing that I want to show you. It's $3,600 purchase. Great. We can still buy one more, but we're going to wait. Now, before we expand our city too much, I remember that our electricity was pretty tight, right? Yes. Let's get some better electricity down. I was hoping to use these advanced wind turbines, but as I come over here to our only water source, the maximum I could get out of one of them is 7 megawatts, and we could just do that with a wind turbine. So for now, we're going to use these coal power plants. And I'm going to put them over here in the industrial area, and we'll hope that that carries us through. 2 milestones ago, we unlocked industry specializations and districts. This is how you use those. The district tool down here, and the first tab that comes up is for just your basic districts. Like if you wanted to draw over your residential area, you can left click and draw around and do a district there. It'll give it a name like Oak Park, or like subscribe today. You can rename it. In here you can do policies. That's advanced stuff. We're not dealing with that today. What we are going to deal with though is the industrial specializations. I want to use the farming industry because I know that this is farmland. But how do you know that this is farmland? Well, if we come back over here to our info views and we come down to the natural resources view, it looks totally different, doesn't it? Let's zoom out. I can show you a couple things. It's got the color coding here. There's oil way over here. We can't get to it yet. There's ore up here with the blue and over here with the blue. These big clusters of trees would be good for forestry. But near us, we have fertile land, which is for farming. And when you get out of the view, you can see the farming is slightly discolored anyways. So now we know where the farming is. So let's draw a district over the farmland. It doesn't have to be pretty. It can be pretty though. Heather Heights. Let's do thank you for watching, if we could spell watching correctly. And back to our districts tool, if we go into industrial specializations, we click on the farming one and we just see how the district highlights, left click, bam. Now any zoned industry that is zoned in here will be farming type buildings. We need to get over here to do that first though. Just before I draw on the roads, I'm actually going to tidy this up a little bit. I'm going to keep it like this first. And let's see what we can do with that. Hey guys, I just made a mistake and I drew a one-way road down here, which I don't want. This is a good opportunity to show you the upgrade road tool. If you want to keep a road here, but change the road type, so instead of being a one-way, I'm going to keep it a normal two-lane road. Click on the road that you want, click on the upgrade tool and left click once it's highlighted, and it just changes the road. You can also do this to upgrade a road from a small road into a medium road or into a large road, but keep in mind it says upgrade cost, and you can also downgrade as well. But just be cognizant of your money when you're doing that. I'm gonna draw the rest of the roads over here with this dirt road just for aesthetic purposes, really. I picture, you know, country roads, take me home. I picture them all to be kind of dirt and, you know, farming and stuff. As I'm laying down the beautiful water piping over here, I'm noticing that our water availability and treatment availability is getting a little low. I'm going to jump back over to my economy, to my budget, and put those guys back up to 100. Now that everything's at 100, I'm probably going to leave it all there just to keep things simple. As my needs grow for, say, fire or medical, I'm just going to put down new buildings. Let's draw in our industry. We'll draw some here and we'll draw some here. And note that both of these are under the farming zone. Different types of buildings are going to build in. I'm also going to draw in a little bit of commercial over here, just to break things up and allow the industry workers somewhere to, you know, go get lunch. These guys need power. You can watch the power jump across the power lines. So the two different types of buildings that you see. Any building in this district will be farming related. Any building on fertile land will become a type of building that extracts resources from the ground. Any building that's not on the fertile land will become a building that takes that extracted resource and turns it into, in this case, beefcakes. In general, you want to strike a balance between both of these types of buildings. As you play more, you'll start to learn what that balance looks and feels like and find your own method for spreading them out. The last thing I'm going to show you before we just kind of blitz through the rest of the milestone is public transit. We unlocked it here in Boomtown. Transport. Right now, if our Sims want to get from here to over here, they're probably going to drive. They will walk a very far distance, but they're going to drive that. If we want to help reduce traffic and make our Sims happier because they have more options, we can give them transit. Here's the transport button. A bus depot will cost us $30,000, and that is where, and it's required to make any bus lines in your city. Let's put our bus depot not on our very main road, but on one of these roads off to the side. We're going to put it here because the noise pollution won't be too close to any of our residents. And then we draw in bus lines. There are videos out there on YouTube to show you how to do this efficiently, but I'm going to show you the bare basics. See, when you hover over a road, it tells you that you can create a new line there. I'm going to start my first line right here. I'm going to left click, and then as I drag my mouse, it will show the route that the bus will take to get to the next bus stop. So I'm going to try to basically make a bus line that picks people up here and drives them to work and comes back, and it's going to be a loop. So we're going to start here. We're going to have the bus line come in here, come back out here, do the same this way, one stop here, one stop here. So that kind of picks up really kind of the whole neighborhood, and it will drive people to work over here. It will drive people to work over here, and then let's let them come home. The only thing to note really on that bus line was that I did not put any stops out on these main roads, because if I had, the bus would stop on the main road wait for people to get on it, take forever, and hold up all the traffic behind it. If there's going to be any traffic held up, you want it to be held up on these little roads. Now we're back at a point where we are going to follow the needs of the city. So we're going to build more residential as the city wants more residential, more commercial as it wants more commercial, more industry as it wants more industry, and just get to the next milestone. As I'm building up my city, I am needing more services, more water. So I'm just going to add those as we carry on. We've hit Busy Town. Here's what Busy Town brings us. Not much. We get a new industry specialization, which is fine. We get pretty roads, which will help with your citizens' happiness and help them level up. And we get bigger versions of the services that we already have. So this hospital is bigger than the little clinic that we had already, and so it'll cover a bigger spot. Same thing with the fire station, same thing with the police headquarters. The last milestone I want to get to today is Big Town, and we're going to do literally the exact same thing. All I've been doing, all you've been watching, is me follow the needs of the city, expand slowly, and as we expand somewhere new, I like to do what I call a vitals check. So I'll open the info view tab, I'll look at our electricity. We're okay. I'm probably going to have to put down another coal power plant soon. Look at our water. We're absolutely fine. Look at our trash. You'll notice I had to put down a second dump, and this dump will be full soon. When this dump gets full, I will need to click this empty building into another facility button. That will mean that this dump is no longer collecting garbage, so I'll definitely have to put down a third one. Education, I just watched the capacity. I definitely need to put down a high school soon. I'm probably going to put it down over here somewhere. Healthcare, you've been watching me put down the clinics. I also put down another childcare center here and an elder care center here. Fire, I need to put down a fire station down here. Police, I need to put down a police station down here. And that's it. I might put another bus line, maybe from this area through the industry over here. We'll see, but let's just carry on to the next milestone. And that's it, everyone. We've hit Big Town. Big Town unlocks some new possibilities that do change some of the strategies for the game, like high density and offices and metro. So we will definitely be picking up here in the next episode. For now, let's pause very quick. Here is the layout that I finished with. Take note of the pockets of residential with commercial interspersed around them, the industry off on one side with no residential nearby so that they're not polluted. And I'll show you quickly each service and where they are. Electricity is what it is. Put it where you need it. If you're using an electricity source that produces pollution, keep it away from residential. Water, we covered that last episode. Just make sure to have coverage in your city. Garbage, have as many landfills as you need up until you unlock what we just unlocked. We'll talk about that next episode. Landfills produce pollution. Keep it away from citizens' residencies. Healthcare. Take a look at my healthcare coverage. You will see almost every single bit of the road is green. That's important to me. The only bit that's gray is this little industry area. I will eventually get it covered as well. Probably when we expand into here, we'll put something, around here. Cemeteries, we only have one right now. We'll end up putting another one down here very soon for more coverage. Fire safety, same thing. Keep the roads all green. Police, keep the roads all green. Education, care slightly less about the green roads, care more about the capacity versus how many people in your city are eligible and how far away those schools are from each other so that people have to travel as little as possible. And make sure that you're looking at your capacity for elementary school as well as high schools. Transit, put it down. You'll figure out your own best tactics for bus lines. Basically, try to get from where people live to their jobs. Parks, make sure there's enough of them for people to level up. I need more parks over here. I need more parks over here. That's it, guys. That's getting from Little Hamlet, the very first milestone unlocked, all the way through to high density, which is a game changer. In every single one of these milestones, the simplest way to explain what we did was we looked at what the milestone unlocked. We understood that our citizens now require these buildings to stay. So we put them down and made sure they had coverage. Put them down, made sure they had coverage. Put them down, made sure they had coverage. Are you seeing the pattern here? Put them down, made sure they had coverage. And then we followed the needs of the city with residential, commercial, and industry to grow the population. That's how you get to Big Town. If you found this helpful, be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you're looking for more Cities Skylines content, subscribe to the channel and let me know what you thought of this in the comments below, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Stay tuned for at least 2 more tutorial videos. We need to do a part 2B that shows how to integrate the DLCs into this, and we need to do a part 3 that shows where to go from Big Town. But until then, guys, I will see you next time.